As the title suggests, this is a brutally honest video. I often get a lot of questions that I don't directly answer, and I often get a lot of questions that are not technically directed at me, but are about me. And I guess you could say that they are throwing shade, or whatever it is kids say these days. And it's not often, but every now and again I'll get mentioned in other people's videos, and most of the time it's never in a good light, unfortunately. I don't know what it is, maybe I just give off this dick vibe. And I'm not here to set the record straight and paint myself in a good light or anything. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself and some of the questions that I tend to see an awful lot. First of which is YouTube your main job? And yes, it is. I've done many things in the past, from retail to factory work, worked in a school for a time. I never found anything I actually really liked. GameStation was good for a time, quite a long time actually. I enjoyed myself there for the most part anyway, as much as one can in retail. And then I left and went to JD for reasons that game can explain. And that is the worst job I have ever had. I've worked in a Brace's bread factory. That was hard work and I didn't like it, but I would take that every day of the week over JD. That's not me calling out JD and saying that you shouldn't ever go for a job with them, and maybe you do work for them and you don't understand what I'm talking about. Back then, it was an absolute nightmare to work for, and I can't quite put my finger on why, but I just hated it. Hated every single second of it. You know that feeling when you leave work and you think, oh, I've got the rest of the night now to do whatever I want. I've got a day off tomorrow. What am I going to do on my day off? You know what I kept thinking when I left work? About going back into work. Like, well, there wasn't one single second where I was like, oh, relief, I'm finished. I'm not there at the moment. I can do whatever I want. I just couldn't enjoy myself. I couldn't do something I enjoyed doing without thinking about work. And I know a lot of people hate their jobs, and maybe you despise your job and you think the same thing now, and you're just like, well, you just got to get on with it. And I thought about that for a while, and I was like, do I have to go along with this? Do I have to just continue to do something that I really don't like? It's a cliche, but you're not here for a long time. You only get one life. And I know a lot of people say that and then they just carry on with doing whatever they're doing, right? But I acted on it and I just left, and I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? I had dark thoughts, let's just say that, right? And I don't think I ever would have gone through with it, but it was getting worse, and I was worried that at one point it was going to get to a point where I would contemplate doing something. So I just had to walk away from it. And I know you're thinking, well, you must have had loads of stuff going on in your life. No, there was nothing bad going on in my life, really. It was just the job and work in general, and I hated every single second. So anyway, I left. I was doing YouTube. I managed to fall back on it for the most part anyway. I got through buying and selling, borrowing off friends and family, more family than friends. And I've kind of been muddling through ever since. And to be quite frank, it's been very, very difficult in terms of not having enough money to do things I'd like to do, not having enough money to pay bills sometimes, bills racking up, letters coming through the door saying you're past due and all the rest of it. And to be fair, I still have that problem today. However, it's been years at this point and I am getting through it, and I would take this every day of the week over going back to something like JD. Not that long ago, and I say not that long ago, literally a couple of months ago, I actually started looking at jobs. I went for a job interview in Aldi, believe it or not. They actually messed me around a little bit, but I'm glad they did. It was actually a blessing in disguise. It gave me time to refocus. It gave me time to sort of think about what I wanted. And the thought of them getting in touch with me and saying, hey, would you like to start on Wednesday? Made me feel a bit sick, if I'm honest, because I knew that that feeling was about to come back again. I've been out of the game for 10 years, but it all came flooding back when I thought, oh my god, I might actually get this job. And I got offered loads of other interviews as well, and in the end I turned them all down because I decided, no, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. It might not pay the bills in its entirety. I may struggle month to month because YouTube doesn't actually pay me as much as people think they pay me. I earn a lot more off my videos than someone doing FIFA does, for example. So a lot of people say, well, how can you possibly live off 4,000 to 6,000 views a video? You're not seeing the other videos gain views in the background. You know, I make what's called evergreen content. You can watch these videos now, you can watch them in 5 years' time, and for the most part, they're still relevant. You watch an FC24 video today, you're not going to watch it next year because the new one's out. Why would you go back and watch last year's game? No one really tends to do that. So that's not evergreen content. But what I do is, so I am trickling views in the background across all my videos, and that helps, whereas having something like a FIFA or a gaming channel, it doesn't really do that for the most part. And my ad revenue is far higher than that of a gaming channel because my audience is older than people who tend to watch like Fortnite videos, for example. So that's how I'm able to pay bills, just about. And I would take this lifestyle over working for someone else or retail any day of the week. I struggle. Sometimes it's difficult. It's not a hard job, not by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not making out to be someone who works 24 hours a day, because I don't. If you work out my hourly rate, it is well under minimum wage. I'm not okay with it. Obviously, I'd love to be earning minimum wage or higher. I'm okay with it because I get to live the lifestyle that I get to live, and I don't have to answer to anyone for the most part, if you don't include my wife. I know a lot of people think YouTubers earn fortune, even people like me who, make CEX videos. Oh, he gets paid to walk around CEX, he's getting paid a fortune, that's how he buys all of these games. Absolutely not. There's no way I can afford to go out and buy, for example, PS5 Pro. Had a couple of comments there, oh, he's obviously going to buy one. Couldn't even if I wanted to. Honestly, there's absolutely no way I could afford to do it. And I know you're looking in the background of me here thinking, well, you've got a lot of games there, and in your next video you're probably going to show off some of those games that are quite expensive. Yeah, I know, bad timing. But the other thing is, this is part of the job kind of thing. This hasn't cost me anything, and it can't have, because if I had actually gone out and spent actual real world cash on this stuff from my wage, if you will, I'd have no money left, because I can't even afford to pay 100% of my bills month to month. There's no way I can go and buy video games. So we have to be thrifty, and that's the whole point of the series, right? You earn money in the series, and then you buy games with the profit or the trade credit, and that's why I love CEX so much, because of the voucher aspect of it. And that brings me on to my content and the collection. And a lot of people think, well, the reason you can afford to buy all these games is because you do YouTube, and either companies send you free stuff, or they send you games, or the money that you earn is paying for your collection. And only one sentence there is true. Companies, every now and again, because it's very, very uncommon, a company will send me something. So not that long ago, GillyKit, for example, sent me a controller. Very grateful to them, because they obviously didn't have to do that. Now, along with that, many people would expect them to have paid me as well, right? No, they just sent me the controller, which I'm not complaining about by any stretch of the imagination. And you do get that every now and again when you get a certain amount of views or subscribers. Companies reach out and say, hey, would you like to promote this vanity kit? I get some very weird requests for sponsorships. I don't take most of them, because most of them aren't relevant. So as desperate as I am to get money, and companies are offering me, $200-300 to promote their new makeup brush, and that's no exaggeration, that is an actual email I had about a week ago. Anyway, the collection is paid for by the series, and I don't mean the ad revenue that the series generates. We obviously go out and we buy things, sell things, and then the profit we use to buy the games. I show everything I pick up in videos and how I pay for it, and people still think that I'm using my ad revenue money to buy all these games. Boot sales, I don't know if you've noticed, I don't really go to them anymore. We've sort of come to the end of the season now, and it has been terrible for the last 2 years weather-wise. Okay, this year's actually been a lot better in terms of weather. Last year was absolutely horrendous, but I gave up on them. I don't like them anymore. I really don't like car boot sales. Maybe it's an anxiety thing, I don't know. I hate the atmosphere. I hate going to them. I hate people bumping into you. I hate having to try and wrestle to get a £3 game that I can flip for £6. I can't stand doing it. There's too many people there, too many buyers compared to sellers. Sellers think they've got actual gold. I paid 50 quid for that, so I want 53. It's worth £3, mate. I can't give you 53. So I don't go to them anymore. Facebook Marketplace, I don't know what happened to that. Honestly, I don't even go on there anymore. Genuinely can't remember the last time I looked at it. But I've thought about looking at it recently, actually. But it was never very good in my area anyway. Once in a blue moon I'd find something worth picking up, but I just gave up because it just all turned to crap. So now I quite literally live off Vinted and maybe the odd charity shop pickup. And I would say that for the most part anyway, I think my content is probably quite repetitive, and maybe that's something that gets thrown around a lot in comments. It's not something I see that often, if I'm honest. And it's true, I do spend an hour in CEX just walking round, and I do spend £2 and walk out with one video game having been in there for an hour. We have one car in our family because guess what? Can't afford to. So when my wife is in work is when I do work. It's just how we have like that sort of work-life balance. So when she comes home from work, I start to wind down a little bit. I'm still doing a bit, but I'm not doing a lot. So when she's in work, she has the car. She works a long way away in comparison to where we live anyway. So I'm left on my feet. So I walk into town because luckily I'm close enough to my town that I can just walk into it. And there's a CEX. Now I could get on a train and go to another CEX or another one, but again, that costs money, and I'm poor. So that's why you see me in the same CEX more often than not. It's why I'm in the same pawn shop more often than not and the same charity shops. It's because the town that I have near me is my main source of content, I guess. And that's why I'm going more and more to Vinted these days, because that's where the bargains are. That's where I get my pickups, and it's just convenient. I don't need to leave the house. I can sit on the sofa. And I see other videos of collectors who go out and, all their titles. I'm seeing it a lot more these days, in the last couple of weeks especially. Or, they're holding up a bag, a CEX bag, and there's a big price across it that says like £500 or £600 or £250 spent in CEX. I bought this Grail for £500. And I have absolutely sod all against people who do that. If you've got the income to go out and buy a game that's £500, £2,000 or whatever, and you want it and you can justify it and afford it and you're not hurting anyone else in the process, absolutely go out, do it, show it to me. I want to see it. I absolutely cannot do that. It is not even remotely in my scope. I can't go out and spend £20 on a game. I don't have the money to do it, and that is my fault, right? I'm fully aware of that, and I'm trying to be honest here and say to people that essentially I don't have any money, but I'm okay with not having money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd like to have money, but I choose this lifestyle over having a 9 to 5, if you will, because I'm far happier doing this than I would be in a 9 to 5, and that is purely my own choice. So I can't complain I don't have money to do this, that, and the other, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying I can't afford to go and buy a new release, even if I want to. If I want a new release, I have to sort of buy and sell my way to it, or I have to sort of sell something I already own that I don't want anymore or don't use that often in order to buy the new release. Video wise, not necessarily the content, but the videos, I always try to be as genuine as I can be. I don't buy things and make out that I'm really excited about it if I'm genuinely not excited about it. Don't get me wrong, if I wanted to fake something, I'm sure I probably could quite well. I did drama in school, I did it at A-level, and I got quite good results from it actually. And I do back myself when it comes to acting. I think I could do a good job, but I don't do it because what's the point? Like, I get people pandering to the camera, trying to make out something is better than it is, or make out a deal is better than it was, or a game is far better than it actually is, just to get people engaged with it, or for me to say, oh, I'm really excited to play this, and then just chuck it in the pile and never think about it again. I don't do that because what's the point? I feel like I need to be genuine. I don't like to exaggerate things. If things are bleak, things are bleak. Because that's just life. I have seen in other people's videos will say, oh, in the beginning when I did it, I was picking up things that I didn't actually want to pick up. I just thought I should do it for the content. And I may be guilty of that maybe every now and again, but I honestly can't remember the last time I would have done that. And again, and it all comes back down to it, right? Because this is what makes the world go round. Money! But if money was no object, or not so much no object, if it wasn't like that big a deal to me, and I was buying things for the content, I'd have so many more consoles in my collection than I currently do. I'd have so many more games. Honestly, the background behind me, there'd be shelves everywhere. It would just be full of figures and games because I'd have the money to do it. But unfortunately, because I don't buy things for the sake of it. And I'm quite glad of that in a way, really, because I don't want shelves full of crap that I never intend on playing. I found it quite hard in the beginning of doing this, actually, because I thought I had to collect everything. I thought being a collector meant that you had to have floor-to-ceiling video games, consoles, collectibles, posters. You don't. You absolutely do not need that. You will play what you want to play. If I have a floor-to-ceiling of PS1 games, spoiler alert, not going to play any of them because I don't care. I had a PS1. I played it as a kid and I don't really have much of any nostalgia for it. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't really want many or any of the games at all. The only game that I really care about on the PS1 actually is Theme Park, and I have it, and I've played it maybe once. I have it on the Mega Drive. I've played it maybe twice. I actually played it more on the Sega Saturn growing up than anything else, maybe the Mega Drive combined. Don't have a Sega Saturn, but even if I did, how many times would I play it? Once or twice maybe. So I don't need these things. Just having Theme Park there on the shelf is enough for me. I don't need floor-to-ceiling PS1 games just because they look cool. I'm fully aware my content is repetitive. I know I go into CEX, I walk around for an hour, I pick up every single game I see, I turn it around, I put it back down again, and I carry on walking. Over the top of that, I'm bitching and moaning about the staff. I'm saying of how untidy it is. I end up spending, what, £3.50, £4 at a push, and then I walk out and I show off the game, and that's the end of the video. I know that's my content.
Here, tell these people something they don't know about me.
And I do get enough of a viewership that does suggest to me that people do kind of half enjoy what I do, or at least it's something that you can throw on in the background and enjoy for what it is. I have a reputation of hating on staff members of CEX. To be fair, there's been, 3 staff members in the 2-3 years I've been doing this that I've had issues with. 2 in my local, and then maybe 1 about the ESRB ratings, which to be fair worked out in my favour anyway, so it wasn't really me complaining, it was just me being confused as to why some stores accept them and the others don't. The 2 members of staff that I have issues with in my CEX, one of them quite literally tried to rip me off and say that I couldn't trade in Toki with the front cover of the manual missing as a boxed game. It had to come in as unboxed, despite the fact that they didn't have that rule then of the whole manual, no manual thing. That didn't exist, that wasn't a thing. But he said he had to take it in as unboxed. Even if a game is traded in, a Mega Drive game, cartridge in a box with the insert, no manual, it would get traded in as boxed. Even now, boxed, no manual, right? But then he was like, gotta take it in as unboxed because the manual doesn't have a front cover. What? He got it wrong, right? Absolutely. His fault, mistake, not the company. I kind of had a go at the company for it, not necessarily him, although I did say that he had got it wrong, but I was sort of aiming it at the company. My bad there, his bad there, not really the company's fault in any way, if I'm honest. And then the other member of staff I have a problem with actually still works in my local. He just, I don't know, makes up his own rules as he goes along. Oh, I can't take that, it says not to be sold separately on it, despite the fact that 50% of the games on your shelf say not to be sold separately. It doesn't make a difference. You just can't be asked to type in the name of the game because it doesn't have a barcode. That's the problem I have with that member of staff. Every other member of staff I ever encounter, generally anyway, they're really helpful. The one that did my PS4 trade-in, I traded in like 60-70 games to him the other day. We were having a chat when he was doing it, you know, like nice conversation, talking about some games and trading and retail and all the rest of it. He accepted every single one, had no problem. Nice guy. Asked me what I was going to do with the credit, and yeah, it was a pleasant experience. People in the comment section, however, gloss over that. So I don't really have a problem with CEX staff for the most part. It's every now and again one of them does something, and you know, we all have that interaction with not just CEX staff, but just a staff member in a shop. You know, maybe they're not having a good day, maybe they're just not a nice person in general, and you have a bad experience. Maybe you leave a review on Trustpilot, or you make a video about it. You know, it's just the modern way, I guess. But I don't do it that often. It just sort of all happened at once back in the day, and it was just that big thing. But anyway, I know it's Vinted, CEX, charity shop, Asda, pawn shop. That's kind of your lot with me, unless I go on a day trip somewhere like Swindon every now and again or something. And I watch an awful lot of vloggers from Florida, like the Disney area. And I've seen a lot of people who say that certain creators are just not genuine. You meet them and they're really arrogant, they don't want to talk to you, or they're really snappy with you or whatever. And then there are other people, and I'm going to name one here, Paging Mr. Morrow, who I've never met in real life, but apparently he is exactly the same as he is on camera as he is in real life. And honestly, I don't think you will ever see a nicer person. Like, he just seems like a really genuine person, and anyone who's ever met him has said, you know what, he is exactly the same as he is on camera. And I feel like that's how I am as well. Like, I'm not any different at all. I might be a little bit more awkward in real life because I am far more comfortable in front of a camera than I am talking to someone, and I feel like that is reflected in like the thumbnail and the title of the video as well. I'm not over the top and dramatic. I do turn the saturation up on my thumbnails. I try and make them stand out as much as I can because that's just the nature of the business. And the title, they're carefully curated. Every single title is carefully worded so that the YouTube algorithm picks it up. But it's never clickbait in any way. Like, I don't go out of my way and try and force people into clicking a video that's got nothing to do with the title. And a lot of people will scoff at that, but read some of the titles. So I took my collection to CEX and they gave me ... I took my PS4 and PS5 collections into CEX and literally traded them in. That is what it says on the tin. CEX Slacking is another one. That is a beautiful title because the YouTube algorithm love it. But it's not true. You know, they didn't price a game right. That's them slacking and not doing the job that they should be doing, and I've benefited from it. 8 games bundle for £14 is literally what it says on the tin. I've got 8 games for 14 quid. I am as genuine as I can be in videos because I don't see the point in being someone that you're not. If you're playing a character, it's a little bit different. I don't think there are that many of them anymore, especially ones that have not been completely discredited. But if you're playing a character on video, I get it. You're not going to be the same same person in real life because you're a character. And I've met many of you out in CEXs or car boot sales or just randomly in a shop somewhere, and it blows my mind every time because I didn't meet one person when I was doing FIFA. Now though, I go into a CEX and it happens actually quite often. And I like to think that I'm a decent person and that the people who meet me and say hello and everything will not walk away and go, wow, what a dick. I don't try and be. I'm just awkward and I don't really know what to say. But if you ever see me out and you want to say hello, feel free. I mean, I don't know why you would, because I am me, and why would you want to? But if you do want to, say hello. I don't bite. I'm not a knob. Being likable is nice, and if everyone liked everyone, the world would be a much better place, I'm sure. But at the same time, it's not that big a deal. If you don't like me, that's absolutely fine. Just don't watch the video. Why are you still here? But if you do like me and you do like the content that you're watching, just know that I am very grateful for the fact that you're here watching this absolute nonsense video, and you watch all of these absolute nonsense videos. I try and make them as entertaining as I can for what they are. Me walking around CEX can only be as entertaining as it sounds. And I apologise that I'm not the type of person who can go to loads of retro video game stores and spend a fortune on games and show off this, that and the other, but I don't have the money to do it. I don't have the means to do it. And to be honest, I don't think I'd want to. There are some instances where I would love to be able to do that, but then when I think about it, would I? I'm not saying, oh, I'd be like everyone else then, because not everyone else is like that. There are some people and some channels out there that do that, and that's fine, because there is a place for them. And money is very, very important, but enjoying the video games is something that I like to do as well, right? So buying them is only a part of it. Playing them, for me at the moment anyway, is a bigger part. And it should be, I think, for most people, but I mean, people will collect and do whatever they want to do with games. I like to play them, and that's why I buy them. But I'd like to incorporate playing them into videos. I've tried it here on the channel, and now and again it works, most of the time it doesn't. So I have contemplated making a second sort of retrospective channel, where I talk more about the actual video games rather than picking them up. But if I do decide to do that second channel where I do retrospective reviews, I already have a fair few lined up in terms of the games I've completed that I would like to do reviews on. And they're not necessarily going to be like really old, like Mega Drive or even 360 games. Some of them have only been out a few years, and I'm playing them right now on Game Pass or my physical games. Anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I know most of it was money, but that is the most common misconception about me, other than the fact that I'm a dickhead, which to be fair, I probably am. But it's, oh, he earns a fortune and he can buy whatever he wants. He's going to buy a PS5 Pro. He has all this stuff. He buys all his games with the money that he earns from YouTube, when, honestly, couldn't be further from the truth. So if you're still watching, or you've skipped forward to this point and maybe you plan to watch another video, or you have watched one of my videos in the past, I am truly grateful to any of the support that you can ever give me. If you've ever liked a video, you have a plan to like a video, you've just liked this video right now, it genuinely does mean the world to me, because this is what's keeping me going. And I wouldn't change it. Let me know if you want to see that sort of retrospective channel pop up sometime. If you want to check out another video from me, which is equally as boring, you can click here. And until the next time, goodbye.